Ooh, hello hyperspace, my name is Davontos and it's time to get hyped because I have officially completed Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Prestige 30, level 55, and that class that you saw right there was actually the first weapon class I have used in the beta, and I believe that YouTube video was called Honest First Impressions of Infinite Warfare, and you see right now I'm actually waiting in the lobby to find the final game that will push me to level 55 Prestige 30, and then I just won't play the game anymore because I have everything unlocked. I recreated the class. Of course, I put like Black Sky and so on. I was using Snaptic in the beta, and you see right here I'm using the Black Sky Snaptic. You can basically say I recreated everything, but put it on, I guess you would say, its final form. So I'm using the Ultimate Type 2 Assault Rifle, Snaptic and his Ultimate Black Sky, but all the perks and all that stuff, kill streaks and so on, is exactly the same as it was in the beta. So I'm ending the game the same way it began, with the same character and the same class build. And I actually want to talk about Infinite Warfare because this is probably going to be my final IW upload, aside from next week, Monday, I believe, which is going to be a huge Infinite Warfare surprise for those of you who are still playing it. So, right off the bat, I want to cover up this class build, which is the default Rifleman, or I should say my recreated version of the default Rifleman. And this class sucks. It has potential. It does have potential, but the Type 2 just eats up ammunition so fast, and you're going to see yourself running dry really, really quickly if you know how to stay alive. And, as I said, this was the class I used back in the beta, so I didn't really know what I was doing, but, after all this experience with the game, completing it, this class is bad. It's really bad. I still do good with it, but you can fix it up and make it much, much better. So, I actually want to recap and have my honest final thoughts on Infinite Warfare. The same way I had my honest first impressions when I played the beta, this is going to be my honest final impressions for closing off Infinite Warfare and, well, saying goodbye to this Call of Duty. Right off the bat, I want to say that I gave the beta a lot of negative reviews, and I'm sticking to that, because the beta for Infinite Warfare was just awful. It felt incomplete, it just didn't feel like a Call of Duty game, and the beta was just bad. But after playing it for all this time, I would say, maybe 2 years? A little less than 2 years? This is a really, really fun, really good Call of Duty, if you put time into it. Now, I know the reason why this Call of Duty received a lot of negative reviews is because of the timing of its release. Now, if you guys pay attention to, how the cycle was going, Call of Duty came out with Call of Duty Ghosts back in the day, and a lot of people hated it. They said it was a really bad boots on the ground Call of Duty. So Call of Duty tried to switch things up, and they brought us Advanced Warfare. And Advanced Warfare had the jetpacks, and people found it really fun at first, but then the fans started discovering that these jetpack things aren't really the best, right? So they wanted something different. And then that's when Black Ops 3 came to be, and Black Ops 3 fixed up the jetpacks, the fans liked it, the fans were pretty much saying, oh, okay, this is cool, you guys fix up the jetpacks, but I want to go back to old school boots on the ground. And they were expecting a boots on the ground from Infinity Ward, but then here comes Infinity Ward and pop comes Infinite Warfare, another jetpack COD, which just triggered most of the fans and basically pushed them away from this Call of Duty, which is one of the main reasons why this COD receives so many negative reviews, because it's a COD that the fans didn't want. And instead of actually giving it a try or whatnot, they just looked at it and they said, it's another jetpack COD, I don't like it, I'm not going to play it. Which is another reason why I didn't make a lot of sales. But this game is it's similar to Overwatch in a way that if you keep practicing with a certain hero in Overwatch, like let's take a character who's difficult to control in Overwatch, like Tracer. If you take Tracer in Overwatch and you keep practicing with her over and over and over, and you become a Tracer main, you're going to see how devastating and just how deadly Tracer can be. So you can easily tell a pro Tracer between a noob Tracer, and that's how Infinite Warfare is. These characters, these rigs, these weapons, they all perform differently. And at first glance, if you just pick up the game, it's going to seem shitty. It's just not going to seem right because you don't have the practice, you don't have the experience with each character. And as you pick up the game more and you practice with it, and I mean a lot of practice, you begin to learn how each weapon functions, how the characters functions in different situations, and which character can be used in what situation. And you wind up discovering that this game is actually very strategic. It's fast-paced because it's a jetpack Call of Duty, but it's fast-paced in a very strategic way. Basically, if you're playing Overwatch and you have a bunch of fast people like Lucio, Genji, Tracer, Winston, it plays out like that. A lot of fast-paced characters doing a lot of fast-paced things, but there's strategy involved in the gameplay. And that's something that I believe this could be something that a lot of people drew away from Call of Duty, because Call of Duty has been that kind of shooter that you just pick up, you grab your gun, you run into a lobby, and you just start shooting people. That's what Call of Duty has been. This is actually, as far as I can remember, this is the first Call of Duty that actually requires you to have a lot of practice before you can actually master the game and see how fun this game really is. And on top of that, it has things like weapon variants and all that, but if you actually look at the entire weapon as a whole, the weapon variants don't really give it that much of a benefit. Let's actually use the ERAD submachine gun, right? That's the very first submachine gun that you split up in half and you take out that little battery pack and so on. You know, the standard one is a standard submachine gun, low recoil, high fire rate, low damage, is your typical fast-firing submachine gun. And you move on to the other variants, which just give you like 10% more points per kill, so that's not really game-changing. But when you go to the ones that are game-changing, like the Cerberus, which has an underbarrel shotgun, I mean, it kind of gets you thinking. Okay, it's a submachine gun with an underbarrel shotgun. Would I really need an underbarrel shotgun for close range when I already have a fast-firing submachine gun for close range? You know, it kind of gets you thinking, is the Cerberus really worth it when the submachine gun's good at close range anyway? Would the shotgun even serve a purpose? Then you go on to think about the Cyclo Beam, which is the ERAD that shoots that giant laser beam. Yeah, it's really, really powerful, and it kills really, really quickly, but it has a ton of recoil, and it basically makes it a completely different gun. So you can't handle the Cyclo Beam ERAD the same way you can handle all the other ERADs, and if you do run the Cyclo Beam, you gotta keep in mind, it's a different variant, a different gun, and requires a different playstyle, and that's where the whole learning aspect comes in. And as I said before, for the people who actually take the time to learn it, they're going to actually discover how fun this game really can be. It's the same thing for all the rigs or characters, whatever you want to call them. You know, you have your standard warfighter guy who's your generic Call of Duty guy, there's not really anything special about him. But then you have a guy like Merc, right? Merc is like that big, bulky juggernaut guy. And yeah, everybody has the same hitbox size. All their hitboxes are exactly the same. Even though Snaptic looks tall and skinny, his hitbox is just the same as everyone else. It's just a visual thing. But if you're running, what's the guy's name? Merc. If you're running Merc, you're a bigger, bulkier character, so though your hitbox is the same size, you're going to be technically easier to hit from a visual perspective, therefore requires you to actually play more defensively. On top of that, Merc's payloads and traits give him more defensive abilities like the reactive armor, or the steel dragon, or the bullet charge. You know, you can be a very defensive, breaching kind of guy. If you're running Snaptic, you know, you're very fast-paced, you have this very slim character, same size hitbox, but your character frame is just very slim, allowing to trick the enemies onto thinking, you know, oh, this guy's skinny, I can't hit him that easily as the other people, when technically they can, but anyway, you know, you have this very slim hitbox, you have speed perks built into Snaptic, allowing you to play very fast-paced, just like a Tracer or a Genji. You can also run other rigs like Striker, who was actually my favorite. You can run Striker and he's the engineer. He relies on like booby traps and machinery, so you can actually build a class that revolves around Striker's playstyle, allowing him to place more booby traps and so on. And yeah, you can actually use Striker the same way you can use Snaptic, you know, speedy submachine gun kind of guy, fast-paced like Genji Tracer, but it's just not going to work as effectively as if you were playing as Snaptic, because Snaptic was built for that stuff. So they do give you all the options and all the flexibility you need to control anyone you want, but just some people do it better than others because of how their internal kit is built, which is where this game really shines on the flexibility. You know, you see right now I'm actually playing Striker, but I'm playing him in a very defensive playstyle, and because I'm playing very defensively, I would actually be doing much, much better if I had Merc. But here's to show you, you can do it with another character who's not Merc. You just can't do it as good as if you were Merc. So that's where this whole create a class, customization, this whole flexibility of the game comes in. And it's the same thing for the weapons. You know, right now I'm using the Volk Goliath, and the Volk is basically the AK-47, but this is a semi-auto AK-47, basically turning it to the FAL from the Modern Warfare series, so you can't treat it like the AK-47. That's why you see him hiding from cover to cover and so on. And even with all the weapons, you know, comparing the AK-47 to the NV4, AK-47 is a very slow powerhouse, so you have to keep your gunfights at medium to long range because you're shooting very, very slow. But if you have something like the NV4, which is a standard assault rifle, you can keep it at medium to close range. And yeah, it does shine at longer ranges, but it's not going to down the target as fast as the Volk because it lacks the power. You know, that's what I mean. It's very, very flexible, and it it allows you to play just the way you want it. The only problem is you have to put the practice into the game to fully understand how everything functions. And when it actually comes down to complaints, I only have 3 simple complaints about this game for as long as I've been playing it. 2 of them is with Snaptic, and one of them is, as I said, Snaptic's hitbox. I believe they made him a little too skinny, and though everybody has the same hitbox, Snaptic's frame is too skinny, and it's not really friendly for the noobs who don't... oh boy, excuse me. It's not really friendly for the noobs who actually understand, you know, that everybody has the same hitbox and all that. It's gonna just really... It's going to throw a lot of the newbies off, so Snaptic's not really noob-friendly. Another thing I have a complaint about Snaptic is his rewind ability. His rewind ability does rewind, and it replenishes his health and ammo. I feel like that's a little overpowered. If it was just the health, or just the ammo, I would be fine with it, but having him replenish both, that seems a little OP. And the final complaint I have, which is not really that big of a deal, is with some of the grenades. Some of the grenades I feel like they should have been thrown further. Like you have the, what was that grenade called? Cluster bomb. You know, you have that cluster bomb, which is basically like 4 frag grenades in one. They don't throw that thing far at all. Same thing with the throwing knife. This has been there since the beta. The throwing knife doesn't really throw that far when it actually should. But it's not really that big of a deal because, you know, you have the jetpack fly up and then throw it from more distance. But, yeah, it's just, those are just 3 simple complaints. Everything about the game seems fair, it seems balanced. There are actually no overpowered weapons. There are some stronger weapons, like if we go into the MGs, you can actually wield a minigun, but if you are wielding the minigun, it's very loud, you're going to be giving your position away all the time, it's very clunky, so if you're not running Merc, everybody's going to handle that minigun very, very slowly, which, you know, helps you build more into the Merc class build, allowing you to play very defensively like a Juggernaut. That's what I mean. Some weapons build into some of the characters, allowing you to use the weapon better if they're suited for specific characters. And even with the zombies, you know, I said in the very beginning of Infinite Warfare, my earlier videos on Infinite Warfare, that I didn't like the zombies at all. And I would say the story to this zombies and Infinite Warfare, the story to zombies is just, it's weird, it's bad. I don't like the cartoony kind of vibe that this zombies has, but when it actually comes down to the gameplay itself, story aside, just how you play zombies, I actually think that this gameplay style of zombies for Infinite Warfare is more fun than the Treyarch's gameplay style of Infinite Warfare. It's just more variety, and it just makes it feel like you're more engaged in what's happening on the battlefield because there's just more things to do to the zombies. Well, on Treyarch's, there's just booby traps, bombs, and guns. This one, there's booby traps, bombs, guns, perks, and, you know, AIs who can actually jump into the battlefield and help you, and so on. And, but when it actually comes down to the whole zombie story, the zombie mood, and all that, I feel like Treyarch's nailed it. The zombies in Treyarch's is gory, gruesome, dark, while this one's just really happy-go-lucky, and it doesn't feel like zombies. It's fun to play, but it just doesn't feel like zombies. And same thing with the maps. I feel like all of the maps in Infinite Warfare, they're good. They're balanced. They allow you to have different playstyles. You have throwback maps like Terminal, this one right here, and you have Rust from MW2 and so on. So they bring back a couple classic old favorites that don't really play as they used to because of the jetpacks and so on, but it's fun to have some old maps. And then the newer maps, they all seem pretty fun, pretty fair, pretty balanced, and again, as I keep saying, it all takes practice. Eventually, as you keep playing, you're going to wind up finding out that some characters are more powerful on some maps than they are on others. Just like Overwatch, you know, Mei can be very powerful in some situations, and other situations she's not that great, or she can even be like a troll pick in some situations. It's the same thing with this game. You know, you're going to find out that Striker with his booby traps is really useful in some maps. You're going to find out that Snaptic with his speed is really useful in some maps, and in some cases where Striker is maybe a little too OP, there might be some maps that pop up that Striker is straight up useless. And if you do have Striker in those other maps where he is useless, it's going to force you to play like your typical Call of Duty guy. But if that's the case, then just take the typical Call of Duty guy, Warfighter. You know, that's where the whole flexibility comes in. And you can actually see it. When you play this game, if you've been playing it long enough, you can really see who has experience out in the battlefield and who doesn't, because the guys who don't really have a lot of experience, they tend to stay very grounded. They tend to They tend to treat it like an old school Call of Duty, like checking their corners and all that. And if you actually have a guy who has a lot of experience, they're more aggressive, they're more fast paced, they know how to turn, they know how to maneuver, they know how to approach different corners before they actually engage in combat. And if you play long enough, you'll see this stuff. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys don't really see it now, especially if you're just starting, but if you guys are a higher prestige and you've been putting a lot of hours into the game, you'll notice this stuff. You can tell the noobs from the pros, or at least the newbies to the guys who have more experience. So, two things I want to go over before I conclude the video. Number one is I want to give you guys some quick tips on how to level up much faster in multiplayer and how to get a ton of keys for them supply drops. First off, if you want to level up really fast in multiplayer, focus on challenges. That's weapon challenges to unlock camos, because once you unlock that black sky, or should I even say once you unlock gold, you're going to get a huge weapon bonus. XP bonus, I should say, which will really help you level up. And if you have those double XP tokens, feel free to use that. But I can confirm, once you unlock Black Sky, it's going to unlock for all the weapons, and it's going to give you a massive XP bonus. So save at least one of your double XP tokens for that, so you can double the XP you get from unlocking Black Sky, because trust me, it's huge. And also, focus on multiplayer challenges. That's like something, play 50 games of Team Deathmatch. Or maybe something like, get 5 kills with the throwing knife. Just focus on all of the multiplayer challenges, and you're going to get a lot of XP bonuses for that, and it'll help you level up much faster. And if you want to focus on getting more keys for those supply drops, just play zombies. You can focus on those weekly challenges that come up, and use that to get your supply drops, maybe key bonuses. But if you just want to focus on keys specifically, play zombies, because it don't matter what zombies map it is, but just play zombies. The higher round you make it up to, the more keys you're going to get, and trust me, you can get anywhere from 5 to maybe 50 keys per zombie session, even more than that, depending on how high you make it up to the round. So, and then again, zombies requires practice, so the more you play, the better you get, the more keys you get out of it, and the more keys you get, the more stuff you have for supply drops. And finally, one more thing I want to cover for you guys before I close the video is just my official final thoughts for Infinite Warfare. It's a great game. It's a Call of Duty like no other, because it requires a ton of practice for you to get good. If you are willing to put the time to practice and you're willing to get good in a game, you're going to see it's really, really fun. And, well, that's basically about it. There won't be any more Infinite Warfare posted up on the channel. I do have a lot of videos saved up. I guess I can post it up as raw gameplay if you guys want to see that. I believe I have 8 more videos saved up for raw gameplay. Maybe I'll save it for future Call of Duty discussions. I don't know. I'll see. But when it actually comes down to me playing Infinite Warfare, that's it. I'm all done. I made it to Prestige 30, level 55. I literally have every single weapon I've ever wanted unlocked. I have every single character and costume, calling card, emblem, and just everything that I wanted unlocked. I have it. and it's actually a really good feeling. But besides that, yeah. This game has a ton of content, a lot to work towards, and if you guys are thinking about picking up a Call of Duty that you probably haven't played before, I would highly suggest Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I know it's a little dated, people are going to say this game sucks, but just try it for yourself. If there's one thing you have to learn about reviews, is everybody has their own different opinions. Some people might think the game sucks, but then if you play it, you might think it's the best game ever, because everybody has their own different opinion. And for me, hey, I would say try Infinite Warfare. You might like it. On top of that, it's fairly cheap now because of those negative reviews. A lot of game stores are selling it on the cheap, so even if you don't like it, I mean, you technically didn't lose that much cash because you bought it fairly cheap. So, if you like this video, punch that like button with a mighty force. I'll see all of you in my next video on Wednesday, which is going to be Overwatch, and as always, I'll see all of you in the next video. Did I say that right? I forgot how my outro goes. I gotta try this again. So if you like this video, punch that like button with a mighty force. You can follow me up on Twitter at Davontos Man. And as always, I'll see all of you in the next video. Have a nice day, and farewell Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.